All right, welcome. I'm glad you decided to join me today. Today we're going to be doing a yin practice. It's something that I've been trying to incorporate into my regular routine and regular practice more often. The older I get, unfortunately, some of my joints just can't handle the power flow all the time anymore. So I've been really enjoying incorporating yin into my practice, and I've actually found that it's improved my power flow as well. So hopefully you enjoy. We are going to start with a warm-up today, and then we're going to be holding our yin poses for about 4 minutes. The first minute will give you the opportunity to get all your wiggles out and get comfortable in the pose. Try to find a version of the pose that you can hold for that long period of time. And then I will kind of shut up for the next 3 minutes as we breathe and try to release into that particular pose. So we are going to start with 5 Sun A's. If you would like to stand and join me, great. If you love yin and you don't want to do any power whatsoever, any flow whatsoever, no chaturangas, that's fine. You can skip about 5 minutes forward and just join us for the yin part of the practice. So, starting at the front of your mat, hands at your heart in prayer. Take an inhale, rise up. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. If this is your first flow of the day, keep the knees bent. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, gently step to plank. Exhale, come all the way through chaturanga and either to cobra or up dog, again depending on how warm your body is. Exhale, down dog. Take a full inhale here. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Really release your head and neck. Inhale, extend mostly through the lower back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back with the opposite foot. Exhale through your chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Holding it for the inhale. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, extend the back. Exhale, round. Inhale, step back. Exhale, flow through chaturanga and into your back bend of choice. Exhale, squeeze the abs and push back, down dog. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, back to heart center. Inhale. Exhale, hinge forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, opposite foot, step back. And exhale, flow. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Inhale. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, flat back. And release. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, prayer. Last time through. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach to the crown of the head. Exhale, release. Inhale, step to plank. Exhale, flow through your last vinyasa. Just a really, really quick warm up. One final inhale, in down dog. Exhale, step forward. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale. And exhale, back to your heart center. So go ahead and step to the back of your mat, and we're gonna come down for our first pose, which will be child's pose. You can choose to either keep the knees together if you'd like to focus on more of a opening in your lower back, or you can have the knees wide if you would like more of a hip opener and heart opener. This first child's pose is going to be an easy child's pose, so please find a comfortable position, not an active one. If you need any cushion for your knees, feel free to pause and grab some extra cushion, and then we will fold forward. Relaxing the tops of the hands by your hips and releasing your forehead forward. Again, the goal with this first minute is to just find a comfortable seated position. Get your wiggles out. Get whatever additional props you might need for support. So if you would like to put a block under your head, and once you've found that comfortable version of the pose, start to focus in on your breath. Try to focus on long, full breaths, but not necessarily forced breaths. So you're not trying to expand or contract beyond your average breath, but you are trying to breathe fully and deeply. And as we go through these poses, with each passing minute, you may notice certain parts of the body in the pose releasing with gravity. So if you need to make adjustments during the 4 minutes, that's perfectly fine. We're not trying to stay still as statues. Move your blocks around, or if you need to adjust your version of the pose, that's fine. But embrace that release with gravity. Take one more breath. And then start to walk the hands in front of you and come up onto all fours. We're going to take 2 more yin poses, essentially stemming from child's pose, which can be a lot of flexion in the knees. So take a little bit of time in this transition minute to extend each leg. Find a little bit of release in the back of the knee. And then if you had the knees together, maybe try bringing them wide. If you have the knees wide, maybe try bringing them together. Bring one hand in the center and inhale, reach towards the ceiling, towards the sky, and then take that hand and thread it underneath the extended. You can opt for a more challenging version of this pose with the hips in the sky. But the point of yin really is to feel supported so that you can rest and ease deeper into the pose. So I'm going to shift my hips back and rest on my shoulder. The hand that is not tucked under you can stay out in front for support. Or if you want more of a challenge, you can wrap the hand behind the back and maybe hook it in the crease of the hip. Again, for me today, I want to find release and relaxation, so I'll be opting for more support. If you need a little extra cushion under your head and you have a pillow nearby, you can place a small pillow underneath your head. Otherwise, let the body sink in between the knees and open up the back of the shoulder. If your free hand is bound, go ahead and release it. And then everyone will make their way up. That bottom hand and reaching towards the sky. Release back onto all fours. And again, stretch out some of the compression in the back of the knee. And then let's take it to the other side. And if you're following along with me, maybe take the knees even wider to the very outside edge of the mat. Again, if you don't have enough cushion and that's uncomfortable, you don't have to. Inhale, the opposite hand reaches up. And then sink underneath and rest onto that shoulder. Just like changing the position of the knees, because gives you a little bit more opportunity to sink into the hips and open up in a slightly different manner. Again, same option here if you'd like to take that free hand, maybe reach it up and wrap it around your back. This can be quite intense on the shoulders, so again, it's up to you if you want that extra. Otherwise, you can stay more supported with the hand extended in front. Again, if you're bound, release the bind, and everyone will slowly make their way back up onto all fours, bringing the knees back in, and maybe inhaling that arm back up to the sky. Release. Feel free to take another extension in the back of the legs. That is all that we're going to be doing on our knees. So if you have extra cushion or padding under your knees, You can go ahead and set that off to the side, and then carefully come down onto all fours and create a T with your arms, and gently roll yourself over onto one arm for a deep heart opener, sinking into the chest and the shoulder. Now you can stay here with your arm propped in front of you. You can bring a leg to prop in front of you, or if you would like an extra challenge, take that leg and bring it behind you. This is a very intense pose all by itself. So pick a version of the pose that you can feel comfortable in and that you can release and relax in. We don't want you to push through the last 60 or 30 seconds just so you can hold on and finish the pose. We want you to be able to release, find maybe a little intensity, sure, but to be able to breathe through that intensity and maybe find a little peace and relaxation as part of the pose. Just as when we were in child's pose, if you need a little pillow under your head here, that's perfectly fine. Help keep your spine in alignment. Wherever you are, bring your free hand back in front of your body for support, and then gently roll yourself away from that extended arm. Maybe give yourself a few shoulder rolls to release, and then find a T and roll over onto the other side. Again, picking a variation that you can hold for about 3 minutes after you get all your wiggles out. Notice that one side might feel quite different from the other. It's okay, it's perfectly normal. Again, very slowly, with support of that free hand, gently roll yourself back to center. Maybe wiggle the shoulders a little bit. And then push yourself up onto all fours. Cross the feet behind you and gently sit back. We're going to come into butterfly pose next, so bring the soles of the feet together. The heels can be close to your hips, or if you'd like, you can push them a little farther away. For me personally, when I bring the feet closer to my hips, it's more intense on my inner thighs, and when I bring them a little bit farther away, then it's more intense on the back part of my hips. This is where I really like to use blocks, because I just don't have the flexibility when starting in this pose to relax very deeply into it. But very quickly, I notice how much gravity is doing its thing, and then I can adjust the blocks as I release. Find a gently folded position, resting the hands out in front. Let the weight of your head pull you deeper into the pose, while at the same time using the blocks for support. Adjust the blocks as necessary as you find the opportunity to ease deeper into the pose. slowly start to walk yourself back to an upright position, and then take your blocks and place them over to the side, and make sure that your strap is handy. Using both hands, gently bring the knees back together, and then we're going to slowly roll down onto our backs for some different reclining pigeon variations. So take one leg up in the air and cross it over, ankle on top of the knee, and gently bring that whole figure 4 in towards your chest, reaching around the back of the thigh or the shin. And let's start here. So pigeon is a very, very popular yin pose. And if you would prefer to take regular pigeon, you absolutely can. But for me personally, I struggle in that pose so much. It's really, really difficult for me to find a version of the pose that I can hold for a long time. So I prefer to take a reclining variation. I find that the value of the pose is just stronger for me personally in the reclined version. Now, if you do have a lot of openness in your hips, and while this may be relaxing, maybe it's just not as intense as you'd like, you can take your arms and do what I call a forklift variation around the shin, and then start to release the opposite leg to the ground. Maybe the foot stays on the ground, or maybe you have a lot more flexibility and you can start to extend that leg. This is very, very intense, and I promise I will shut up on the other side. But I wanted to show some different options that I find just a lot more peaceful while still just as challenging as pigeon. If your leg is extended, go ahead and walk that foot back in. Release your forklift arms, and then gently release the foot to the ground. Extend the leg up, maybe flex through the heel, and then let's switch sides. Opposite foot goes towards the sky first. Flex the foot and cross the ankle over the knee. I didn't say this on the other time, but make sure that you keep that foot flexed. Bring the entire figure 4 towards your chest. While yin is generally a more passive version of yoga, keeping the foot flexed will help protect your knee. So we do want to at least keep the ankle active and flex the foot. Again, option to challenge yourself with those forklift arms. breath or two here. And if you had the leg extended, start to walk it in. Bringing the knee up to support the ankle again. Release the release the arms, and then release the foot to the ground and stretch that bent leg towards the sky. And then go ahead and grab your strap and wrap it around one foot, around the ball of the foot, and find enough length on either side that you can let your arms hang. So you're not pulling the foot in towards your chest or the knee towards your chest. You're just letting the arms relax and hang and open up the hamstring that way. Now, if this is relatively easy for you, you have a lot of flexibility already in your hamstring, take that bent leg, just like we did in reclined pigeon, and start to extend it out. Every time you extend that bottom leg, you're starting to open up the hip flexor of that bottom leg, as well as the hip, or in this case, the hamstring of the floating leg. And if you find that it's not quite as intense as you'd like, simply wrap your hands tighter around the strap and then let the arms hang with gravity again. And that will just put a little bit more tension on the back of the leg. Couple more breaths here. You may have noticed, based on the anatomy of your hip, that gravity has started to roll the foot a little towards the side. That's perfectly fine. The goal here is to let gravity do the work and not put too much effort into it. So if you start to get more of an inner thigh opener, that's okay. Gently release the tension on that foot, and let's switch sides. So opposite ball of the foot in the center of your strap. Release the foot you were just working with onto the ground, and start by letting the arms hang. Keep that bottom knee bent at first. And as you breathe and release, maybe you can add the opening in the front of the hip by extending that leg towards the ground. Gently release the tension on that leg. You can take the strap and set it off to the side. We won't be using it again. And then grab one of your blocks. And we're going to take bridge pose. So I would recommend putting it on the lowest setting or the medium setting. If you put it on the high setting, it's going to be very, very uncomfortable. So take whichever setting of choice and place it underneath your tailbone. So you should feel just the tops of your butt cheeks resting there. If you're right on your butt cheeks, it's going to feel very uncomfortable. And then from here, extend one leg and then the other leg so that you're in a very gentle hip opener and a bit of a inversion. Anytime your hips are higher than your heart, then that's going to be considered an inversion. So even though we may not be working as hard as, let's say, a handstand, you're still getting a lot of the similar benefits. This is going to be our last pose before Shavasana. So I am going to give you the option, if you aren't really interested in opening your hips and instead you want a little bit more of a calming and a little bit more intense inversion, then feel free to come into legs up the wall. You can either move over to an actual wall, or you can just rest on your block and keep your heels over your hips. So this last yin pose will be yogi's choice. Either this extended bridge or legs up the wall. Take 3 more deep breaths here. And after your last breath, bring the soles of both feet back to the ground. And then gently lift the hips and remove the block from underneath your hips. And then typically we take some twists after back bends. So if you were in bridge or if you were in waterfall and you would like a little bit of release in the lower back, go ahead and walk the feet out to the edges of your mat and gently tick-tock the knees to either side. If you would like to take a slightly deeper twist by bringing the knees to a 90-degree angle with the hips, you can take a couple of twists that way as well. We're not holding these twists, we're just releasing any tension that you might feel in the lower back after doing a back bend or after having legs up the wall and maybe feeling the pressure of the block underneath your tailbone. One more tick-tock of the knees or one more twist of the knees. Gently come back to center and then release the legs long. Let them flop open. Take up as much space as you need and settle into Shavasana. which is our final pose to close out today's practice. We're going to stay here for about the same amount of time that we've been holding the other poses. But if you have more time today and you would like to stay here for a nice long, maybe a 10-minute Shavasana, maybe take advantage of some meditation, please feel free to stay as long as you'd like. If you were planning to close out your practice with me, slowly start to reawaken the body. Maybe starting with the extremities, and then bringing that sense of movement a little bit closer to the core of the body. Eventually bringing the knees towards your heart and then rolling over to one side. And gently push yourself up to a comfortable seated position. I hope you enjoyed that yin practice and that you find it's a good complement to your power or your Vinyasa flow practice. Thank you for joining me today and sharing your practice with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.